My cheating wife claimed she was working late, so I followed her, gathered proof, and surprised her with divorce papers at their hotel. I'm a 35-year-old man, and my wife Paula, who is 36, and I have been married for 10 years. Our relationship isn't exactly traditional. For example, I'm a stay-at-home dad. It wasn't part of our original plan, but that's how things worked out, and it turned out to be the best decision. We had twins, and when my wife got the chance to lead a regional office in another part of the country, it didn't make sense to pass it up. I had a job at the time, but I quit because her promotion and the relocation came with a salary that was much more than what I earned. So, we left the city where we had met and gotten married and moved to a larger, more modern city. I tried looking for work at first, but in the end, we agreed that it would be better if I stayed home to care for the kids. It didn't feel like a bad idea at the time, and even now, I can't say I regret it. Though part of me does miss the satisfaction of working a job I truly enjoy, that's in the past now. I've gotten used to being at home. I've been learning new skills, and I've even started writing short stories and publishing them on online literary platforms. That gives me a bit of fulfillment. One thing I worried about before becoming a stay-at-home dad was whether my wife would change once she became the main breadwinner. You may think you know someone, but when your lifestyle shifts dramatically, that's when you really find out who they are. Money can change people, often more than you expect. Thankfully, I didn't notice too many moments where she used her position to belittle me. I will say, though, that she didn't spend money on me the same way I used to buy her gifts randomly. That's my only real complaint. Well, until now. The main reason I'm writing this today is because of another issue. I understand that she leads a big team and needs to keep everything running smoothly. So she often has to work late. Sometimes, that means canceling plans we made, even after arranging for the kids to be with a nanny or a relative. That's especially upsetting because we already don't spend much time together. I get it. She's a career-driven woman. But it can still be frustrating. Working late is a reasonable excuse most of the time, but lately, I've started feeling like it's being used to cover up something else. I never had a reason before to believe that Paula might be cheating, until recently. One evening, she was showing me some photos on her phone. In the small preview bar beneath the pictures, I noticed one that looked bright and full of nightlife energy. We don't go to clubs together. I wouldn't mind if she went out with friends instead, but she's never mentioned it. It was a Saturday, and the night before she had claimed she was working late. So I started forming some theories. I didn't say anything at the time. She asked me to watch a movie, and while she was making popcorn in the microwave, I quickly grabbed her phone and checked her photo gallery. And yes, those pictures were taken in a nightclub. She was wearing a short dress and holding a drink. There was a man behind her, with his face close to hers and his chin resting on her shoulder. She looked very happy in the photo. I don't even know how I reacted so quickly, but I sent the photo to myself and deleted the sent message. Something just didn't feel right. As much as I wanted to confront her, I've had past experiences where I was gaslighted so badly, I couldn't tell what was real anymore. She came back from the kitchen and probably noticed me putting the phone down, but she didn't say anything. Later, when I checked her phone again, those photos had been deleted. That confirmed two things. She had seen me using her phone. There was clearly something wrong with those pictures. In the weeks after that, I began carefully observing her after every late night at work. One day, I noticed something strange. My wife came home wearing different heels than the ones she left in. On another occasion, she was chewing minty gum, but I could clearly smell alcohol behind it. That's when my suspicions grew stronger, and I realized I wouldn't feel at ease until I found out what was really going on. Asking her directly might seem like the easiest way to figure things out, but it would also give her the easiest chance to lie and possibly cover up everything completely. If she became aware that I suspected her, she'd be even more careful and less likely to make mistakes. It's not that I want to discover my wife is cheating, but after 10 years of marriage and 2 children, I feel like I deserve to know the truth. If I get proof, I won't hesitate to leave. I'd like to hear what others think about my situation, because there's a part of me that wonders if I'm overreacting. Being a stay-at-home dad isn't an easy job. I've taken it seriously and worked hard to build a stable, loving home. But based on what I've seen, I don't think I'm imagining things. What I've described isn't just a feeling, it's a series of small red flags that, together, paint a concerning picture. This can't go on forever. I deserve peace of mind and honesty in my marriage. Update 1. I've come to accept a painful truth. My wife is cheating on me. It's taken me a long time to fully believe it, but now I'm certain. And honestly, it's heartbreaking. From the beginning of our relationship, I made it clear that loyalty was something I valued deeply. She told me she felt the same way. She said she'd been cheated on several times before and never wanted to experience that pain again. I understood her completely. I had also been cheated on twice by the same woman in the past. I forgave her the first time, but not the second. That's exactly why I won't give Paula a second chance. Cheaters do not deserve second chances. I hope anyone reading this remembers that. To be clear, I haven't divorced her yet, and I haven't even told her that I know she's been unfaithful. But I do know, and I've carefully gathered proof over time. She's become much more protective of her phone. It goes with her everywhere. I'm not sure if I somehow gave away that I knew something or that I was suspicious, but she's definitely made it harder for me to check her phone. Still, she keeps coming home late from work, and there's not much I can do about it. I'm home with the kids, so it's not exactly easy for me to follow her around. But recently, I finally found what I needed, and here's how. We had a big argument one week. I told her that I wanted to go back to school for a master's degree, to prepare myself for re-entering the workforce. By the time I finished the program, the kids would be older, and we'd feel more comfortable leaving them with a babysitter for longer periods of time. But she didn't like that idea. She insisted I had committed to being a stay-at-home dad, and suddenly deciding to return to school would disrupt our arrangement. She kept repeating that her income was enough for both of us, as if this was only about money. Then she made it about the kids, saying my absence would negatively affect them. She just kept coming up with excuses. She even called it an unnecessary expense. That last part really angered me. It turned into a loud argument, as loud as it could get with two kids asleep upstairs. We never resolved that discussion, but I didn't drop my plans because of her resistance. And honestly, none of that even matters anymore, because very soon, she won't have a say in my life at all. After that argument, I started sleeping in the guest room. I think it was the very next work night after that fight that she came home later than usual. She didn't tell me she'd be working late. She just walked in, unlocked the door, and went straight to her bedroom. I could literally smell alcohol lingering in the hallway as she passed by. And I remember feeling disappointed that she had likely driven under the influence. About 15 minutes later, I heard her snoring. She had showered and gone straight to sleep. Originally, I planned to ask her why she came home so late without saying anything. But when I saw her phone lying next to her on the bed, I decided to use the opportunity to investigate. And that's when I found everything she had been hiding. I opened her photo gallery and just kept scrolling. If I'd had more time, I would have cross-checked the dates with the nights she claimed to be working late. But even without that, I saw enough. There were 3 separate occasions in the past 2 months where she was sitting at a restaurant having dinner with a man, just the two of them. These weren't company events or group outings. That same night, I found a selfie she took at a bar, although I couldn't confirm if she was with anyone. I went through all her social media accounts as quickly as I could, but I didn't find much there. Then I thought to check her emails, and that's where I struck gold. One of her most recent emails was from a man named Tony. The subject line looked formal, like a work email, but the message itself was clearly a dinner invitation. I read through the entire conversation, and it turned out they had been arranging meetings for nearly a year. His email signature showed that he was a fellow professional in her field. After checking LinkedIn, I confirmed that he didn't even work at her company. So, they must have met through some other connection. There wasn't direct evidence that they were sleeping together, until I saw the message where he asked to meet at their usual place, and she replied with a one-word email. Hotel. That was all the confirmation I needed. I forwarded the entire thread to myself and deleted it from her sent folder. Saying I was angry would be an understatement. I felt like I was losing my mind. This happened less than a week ago, and I've already started speaking with a divorce lawyer. I hate that my gut feeling turned out to be right. I really do. But at the same time, I'm relieved because now I can finally break away from someone I can never trust again. And I don't want anything to do with her anymore, except for when it comes to her being the mother of my kids. None of this is your fault, OP. I really respect you for not trying to hide the truth or convince yourself to stay just for comfort or out of denial. Update 2. So, here's the final update to this entire story. Divorces are never simple, are they? I'm sure you all guessed that this one wasn't the smooth ride I had hoped for. But in the end, it worked out mostly the way I wanted it to. And honestly, that's enough for me. I'll try to keep this last part short. I found out that my wife was cheating on me. I had proof, emails between her and her affair partner, plus pictures in her gallery that clearly showed she had lied. She was out at clubs and fancy dinners while telling me she was working late. The Saturday after I got the divorce papers from my lawyer, I arranged for the kids to sleep over at their cousin's house. That way, we'd have the house to ourselves when she got back from work. As usual, she told me she'd be working late. I played along, told her it was fine. At the time she sent that message, I still believed she was at work. So I drove over to her workplace and parked where I could see her car leaving the building. At exactly 6 p.m., the usual closing time when she wasn't working late, I saw her car drive out. I took a photo with a timestamp, making sure the license plate was visible. Then I followed her. I got lucky that day. She didn't go to a dinner or club. She drove straight to a hotel. I assumed this was their regular meetup spot. It wasn't super fancy, just a decent, affordable hotel, good enough for frequent visits without being too shady. I parked at the opposite end of the lot and followed her from a distance. I had the divorce papers with me, ready to hand them over so there would be no way she could deny it. Somehow, she didn't notice me. I watched her walk up the staircase and down the long hallway to the room she and Tony were meeting in. As soon as the door closed, I walked up and knocked. The funny part? When I heard a man's voice ask who it was, I got to say the classic line, "Room service." I stood to the side, so he couldn't see me through the peephole. I figured he might know she was married and could recognize me. Also, I was dressed way too casually to pass as real room service. He opened the door, looked one way, then the other, and when he saw me, he asked if I was the one who knocked. I said yes, pulled out my phone to start recording, and told him to ask my wife to come to the door. He looked shocked when he heard that. I'm not sure what came over me, but I pushed past him and saw Paula standing by the bed, taking off her jewelry. Her dress was unzipped all the way down in the back. When she saw me, she actually jumped. I was the last person she expected to see, no doubt about that. I had just messaged her a few minutes earlier saying, "This is the job that keeps you working late, huh?" My voice was shaking in the video. I knew she was cheating, but seeing it in person nearly broke me. The video didn't last long. Tony didn't say a word. I just handed her the divorce papers and told her to take them. She did. I told her it was over and that I had known about the cheating for longer than she thought. Then I walked out. That was it. I told my brother he'd need to keep the kids for another night, and I explained everything to him. So it wasn't a problem. She came home about 30 minutes after I did and sat down on another chair in the living room. It was clear she didn't know what to say. After a while, she asked, "Can I explain?" But I told her not to bother. There was no need to lie to my face again. She didn't say anything after that. I just told her I'd appreciate it if she signed the divorce papers and made things simple. She signed the papers a week later. The divorce process went very smoothly, mostly because I had done my part, recording and collecting proof of her cheating. I even matched the pictures and emails with the text messages she had sent me, saying she was working late on those exact nights. I was a stay-at-home dad, and since she was always out late, the court didn't think she was the better choice to care for the kids most of the time. I was awarded 70% custody, which was completely fine by me. On top of that, I hadn't worked full-time in years, so I was granted alimony. Honestly, I had no complaints about that. I realized that if I saved and spent smartly, I could use that alimony to pay for my master's degree. I've already started applying. We agreed to sell the house and split the money. It was too big for her to live in when she only had the kids 30% of the time, and I didn't want to keep paying the mortgage alone either. All in all, I feel like I came out ahead. Divorce isn't a game, especially when kids are involved, but I wasn't the one who ruined things.
She did.
And yeah, it hurts because I truly loved her. But life doesn't end here. I'll be okay on my own, or I'll find someone better. There's always someone better. Commentary from the narrator. I'm really glad to hear that the legal side worked out in your favor, 70% custody and alimony. That's justice doing what it's supposed to. And I love that you're turning that alimony into something meaningful, your future. Going for your master's degree? That's powerful. It's unfortunate that things had to end this way, and I'm sorry for the pain you've carried. But I believe you're right. You didn't lose. There is someone better out there. And even if they don't come right away, you're already proving you're strong enough on your own. So tell us, why do you think people throw away years of trust and family for something so reckless and shallow? Let us know in the comments.